Okay, everybody's heard of PiHole by this point, right? Your DNS server. Let's talk about what that is. We'll talk about how I run PiHole, and I'm going to help you set up PiHole. Before we get started, let's head over to WhoKeys and unlock our copy of Windows. By using coupon code TS25, you can get 25% off these prices here. I use Windows 10 Pro. You can also get Windows 10 Home, and both of these will upgrade to Windows 11. You can get that. Also, note that the Windows 10 keys have been working with Windows 11. Google it and make sure that this is still a thing whenever you're purchasing your key. Also, I want to note that if you get Windows 10 Home and you upgrade it to Windows 11, they will force you to use an online account. With Windows 11 Pro, however, you can use a local account, just so you know. You can also get Office 2019 with that same discount, or if you like, you can get Windows 10 Pro and Office 2019 in a bundle and save even more. So go ahead and put TS25 in here as your coupon code, hit apply, and then you can see we can get Windows 10 Pro for $14.85. Once you're finished, if you want to access your key, you click on your name on the top right, click on User Center, and you'll see My Purchase Orders. Right here, you'll be able to view the keys that you've purchased just by clicking on View Keys and Codes. Then you will see your code right here. Just go ahead and copy this code, press Start, type Activate, and you'll see activation settings come up. Click on that. Then click Change Product Key. Right there, you can paste in your code and hit Next, and then you will be activated. It's very simple. So don't pay those retail prices for your copy of Windows or Office. Head over to whokeys.com and use coupon code TS25. So there's a couple different reasons you should be running PiHole. Now, first off, let's talk about what DNS is. So DNS is a server that tells you, or tells your computer or your web browser, where different things are in the internet. So if you type in, let's say techsyndicate.com, it goes to your DNS server. If that's Comcast, it goes, hey, Comcast DNS server, what is TechSyndicate? And they look at their index of all the stuff they have listed, and they're like, oh, TechSyndicate, that's 127.197.5. whatever, and they connect you. So you just type in the pretty URL, it contacts the DNS server and connects you to the actual machine. There's alternate DNS servers. A lot of people use like OpenDNS or Cloudflare DNS, Google. There's a lot of different ones that are decent, but this will give you even more control because with PiHole, you can install lists of malicious websites that will be automatically blocked, and it will automatically block most advertisements. The nice thing about that is when you have ad block, I've got ad block installed on my browser and stuff. When you go to a website, it loads all that content and then the ad blocker blocks it. With PiHole, it doesn't even allow things from ad serving domains. It doesn't even allow them to reach your browser. So therefore you're upping your you're saving bandwidth. It's not that big of a deal, but you are going to be cutting out a lot of bandwidth because you would not believe how much junk comes through your system and then gets blocked by your ad blocker. Plus, it allows you to add more lists. You can block Windows telemetry. You can block all kinds of things. You can even block Adobe servers. Whatever you want to do, you can add different things to the list to block. You can go online and get more lists of malicious websites that are updated all the time, and it will automatically update and continue to keep you protected online. Now, you should be running 2 PiHole instances because you normally have 2 different DNSs that you can put it into your router or put into your system. All right, a lot of people install PiHole on a Raspberry Pi. That's why it's called PiHole. You can run like Armbian and then install PiHole. But right now, the Raspberry Pi is really expensive. It's hard to find online. Maybe they're coming back in. Maybe it's the chip shortage. I don't know. But I've seen a lot of people price gouging them for like $70 to $100. That's too much for a Raspberry Pi. I have an alternative method, and you should go and watch my Proxmox video first so you can see what I've put together and then come back to this one. And the link is in the description. But anyway, I'll give you a quick rundown. What I did is I got one of these computers. You can get like any of these like Dell very slim computers. They don't use too much power. They do use quite a bit more power than a Raspberry Pi, but enough that it's only going to cost you, pennies a month to run one of these. Install Proxmox virtual environment. Super easy to install this. And then you can install multiple instances of the PiHole software on there, as well as several other things. You can run like a little Linux installation on there for downloading. You can run all kinds of stuff. Again, go watch my Proxmox video. But I would recommend getting one of these, and this will basically operate as all of your PiHoles right here. All right, so now let's show you how to install PiHole on Proxmox. Just head over to proxmox.com. In the middle of the page, just click on download, and you want to just go ahead and download the ISO right down here. So there we go. You can get it through BitTorrent, or you can download it right here. You can pick. One thing I will mention is when you're installing Proxmox on your machine, you want to make sure you go into the BIOS on that machine or the UEFI first, and just turn on any virtualization that's there. And also, if you're installing like an i7 or something, go into the UEFI and make sure that hyperthreading is enabled, or else it's not going to show all the cores. All right, let's do a PiHole installation on our Proxmox server. We can do multiple like I've already done here, but I'll do a third one just so I can show you how it's done. All right, so we click on our Proxmox up here at the top, and you'll need to have grabbed a copy of Debian. You can also use Ubuntu Server or whatever. I use Debian because you can really granularly pick just what you want to install, and it'll work great on a very low provisioned machine. So Proxmox, I've already got Debian, the ISO installed. It's down here. I've put it in my storage. You have to go to your storage here, click on ISO, click on upload, and then select the file that you've downloaded. You want to come over here and like right click on the ISO download link, copy link. You can also download from URL just by, pasting that URL in here, and you can title it whatever, Debian, and then, or just click query URL. Hey, it's Debian. And then you can just download it and it'll go right here on the list. I've already done that. So I'm going to click on my node, which is Prox, my first node, and I'm going to click on create VM. I'm going to make this one 113 because it'll be my third, whatever, any number you want. I'm just going to call it PiHole 3 because I've already got 2, but you can call this whatever you like. OS is going to be Linux, and then I'm going to pick your storage wherever you stored it over here on the side. I'm going to do center because that's my NAS. You can also hook your NAS up to this. And then I'm going to do Debian. There we go, Linux. And everything default for the graphics card machine. SCSI controller. Disks, I'm going to go with 4 gigabytes. We don't need a lot for this, so small is fine. CPU, 1 is plenty. Memory, 512 is plenty as well for most people. Unless you're doing something crazy. If you got like 90 computers going, maybe a gig, but I can't imagine anyone needing much more than that. All right, for my network device, I want to do the VirtIO, and I want to do para-virtualized. The other ones are not going to be as fast, so I'm doing that one. Speed doesn't really matter that much if we're only going to be installing PiHole on this installation of Debian. And then on the confirm screen, just click on Start After Created. And I'm going to click Finish. It'll start spinning up right here in a second, 113, L3, there we go. And click on Console, we can watch it install. I'm going to do the graphical installation. Now the graphical installation, it's going to have a few artifacts depending on your machine and what browser you're on, but whatever. We will ignore the artifacts. We can get through this together. Entering low memory mode, exactly what I want. Answer this as per your own preference and specification. All right, network succeeded. Okay, what's the host name on this one? I'm going to call this one PiHole 3, whatever, doesn't matter. This is the name of your Debian machine. And then the domain name. Now, this can be anything you want, but just make sure you name all your other installations of Linux and put them on the same domain name just so there's no confusion. But if you're just at home, you could just call this local.com or I don't know, anything like that. So if you own a domain or you're using some kind of proxy stuff, then you want to put that in here now. But if you're doing that, you know more than me, so yeah. All right, this is the password for your root user. Got to put that in there. Enter it again. Now this is your username. There we go. It's me. Name for my account. So I'm creating a second account here. So we've got a root account and a second account, and then a password for that account, which should not be the same as the other for security reasons, but do not forget these. All right, so now we've created 2 users. Picking my time zone. It's synced up with the server fast enough. All right, I want to use the entire disk for my partition. There it is, my little 4.3 gigabyte disk. All files in one partition. This is what we're going to do. Finish partitioning, write to disk. You have to go over here and click on yes, and there we go. That's the first part finished. We're starting to get some of the garbage around the edges here. Just ignore that. It's weird, but yeah. So scan extra installation media. I read it like a weirdo, but no, we don't need to do that. All right. This is just picking your upgrade branch or your package branch or whatever. Keep it on Debian.org. I don't need any proxy information. If you're doing this, you know more than me. All right, just let it do its thing. Don't click on cancel. Now this might work better if you're using like a VNC or something like that. I don't know. I haven't tried this. It might work better on another browser, but installing it on Firefox, I've had to deal with this weird nonsense around the sides, but it's been no big deal. I'm going to click on no for the survey because I want like almost nothing going on this machine. And the Debian people are awesome, but sorry, you can't have information from my server. I need all the power because I'm not giving it many resources. All right, we do not want a desktop environment. We only want SSH and the standard system utilities, and luckily that's what's already selected, so don't change anything. If you press spacebar on any of these, it will add the asterisk and install it. Just make sure that none of these are selected except for the two on the bottom, SSH server, standard system utilities. Press continue, which is enter. Now we really don't want the desktop environment because that's going to eat up a lot of RAM, take up a lot of space, and we absolutely do not use it because we're installing PiHole, which is going to have its own interface, as you can see here, like this. All right, we need a bootloader, so let's install grub. Press enter on this. Unless you're doing something special, in which case, again, you know more than me. And then you have to manually go down and click on your hard drive. Don't do enter device manually unless you know more than me. Well, we're almost there now. Hey, we're done. That took like a few minutes, not long at all. All right, it's going to reboot. And then it's going to give us a prompt to log in. I always log in with my root user first because we have not given any privileges to our other accounts. So we have to use our root account to install a few things and then give privileges to our secondary account. So log in with your root and your password. Yay, there we are. Now we are just in the root folder right now. So if I do a search, it's going to show nothing. So I need to go cd space ... to go up one folder so we can see, hey, there we are in Linux, just for fun. Now, there's going to be a few different things you need to do before we install PiHole because we are on a very, very bare bones installation of Debian, and I'm going to put all these commands on Tech Syndicate. They're very easy. But the first thing I do whenever I install Linux is just do an apt update, just to see what we got here, everything's up to date, and then an apt upgrade, but just, make sure everything's good. Everything's upgraded, everything's good. I always do that when I first start. Now I want install sudo because when you first start, like sudo, it's not even installed. So we need to do apt install sudo because Debian doesn't even come with that. Hey, now we got sudo. I want to user mod my other user to be an admin or be a root or sudo user, I guess. Type usermod space dash lowercase a uppercase g, then sudo, and then your username. I've just made madhail. I just gave my other user madhail the ability to use sudo. All right, now the next thing I need to do is to check the IP. There we go. So we've got what's going on here. That's our Ethernet device right there. And we have an IP address down here. So that's our IP address. If that IP address is fine, then you can set that as your static, but we need to set a static IP address. Sometimes you can do this inside the PiHole installation, but with Debian I found that you really need to do this on your own. So before we install PiHole, let's edit our network interfaces file. We just need to type nano, and then that file is in the etc/network/interfaces. Interfaces is the name of the file inside that folder, and nana. Let me go back and type nano. There we go, nano. All right, so this is our interfaces file, and this tells Linux what is going on. So right now we have, this is our interface, ENS18, and it's set to DHCP. I'm going to change this to static. Now we have to assign it, assign it an IP address. So I go down here and type network, and this is our IP address. 220 was fine. I'm just going to leave it on that. And then we need to do a gateway. Oh yes, I've almost forgot. We need to do a subnet mask. So I'm using 24. If you're not familiar with that, subnet mask are all these numbers that you're using on your router. Yeah, got it, website, cookies, whatever. I'll put this link down there, but I am using a subnet mask of 255.255.255.0, which is /24. And you can look here, if you're using something else, something different or whatever, most people are going to be using this, then you can just use /24. That's what I've got right there. You could do a separate line and type subnet and then type out 255, but why do that? Gateway, this is going to be my router. That's all we need. In order to save this, we do Control X, press Y to save, and then it'll ask you the name of the file name. If you press enter, it will overwrite this file. Now that is our static IP. We can go ahead and reboot our system, but you know what? We're already on this IP, so I'm just going to go ahead and install PiHole, but you would probably want to reboot your system, and then after you're done, type IP-A again, and check your IP address. There it is, 220.24. There we go. Everything's good. Everything looks good. So now, in order to install PiHole, there's just a couple of commands we need to type. Very easy. Let's do wget, wget space dash capital O. That's not a 0, that's an O. basic-install.sh. Now we need to tell it the location, which is HTTPS. It's hard to type. I've got the microphone right in the middle of my keyboard. //install.pi-hole.net. Press enter. We need runs the installation. We just downloaded the installation file, so now it's sudo bash basic-install.sh. Hey, PiHole, how you doing there? Yes. Your installer will transform your device into a network-wide blocker. All right, yes. We have to tell it that we understand that we need a static IP address, and I just showed you how to set that, so we're good. Now pick your DNS server. I'm going to recommend, Cloudflare for now, but we want to run our own DNS server because we don't need them having a list of all the websites we visit, do we? I know about your furry porn. And this is the list of blocked DNS lookups. So this is the one that comes with Stephen Black. We're going to add a couple more to this, but right now we want to select this list so we have a list of evil IP addresses and DNSs and websites to block. So block all the evil. Do you wish to install the web interface? This is optional. It gives you this. I recommend it. It's lightweight and it just runs in a browser. So yes, I'm going to install the admin interface. Do I wish to install the web server? Yeah, we're going to need that with the admin interface. Do we want to log queries? I'm doing a spacebar on off. I don't want it to log any queries because we're talking privacy here. So no logging queries. You can log them if you want to do this on your network, if you're doing this at work and you want to see if anybody's browsing weird stuff, you spy. I'm doing everything in anonymous mode. You can do it so that it shows everything. I mean, it'll almost be like running Snort, but I don't want to do that. There we go. I just wanted to filter my DNS, and I don't really need a history of all the websites I've visited. A lot of that's stored in my browser anyway. And I'm just here by myself, so it doesn't matter. I don't need to spy on anybody. All right, next up, it's going to be something important. All right, I got my notepad ready right here. It's going to give us a password. See that password right there? UZIE_LM5, whatever it is. I'm just getting that password. All right, log into the IP address that it gave you there, and then /admin. Hey, there we are. When you click on login, it'll ask you for that password. Put the password in there. All right, we're logged in. Now this is working. Everything's good. The next thing you need to do is go over to your router and tell it to use this DNS. You can also do that on Windows. Under your TCP IP version 4, you hit properties, and there you can change and add your DNS servers down here. Let's go ahead and do that, 188. And then the one I just created is 220. So you put that in there. I like to validate settings upon exit, but yeah, there we go. We've got our 2 PiHole DNS servers right here. Now, if you do this on a router level, you shouldn't have to even worry about doing this on Windows. It should just work on every computer. Now, when you look here at this list, there's a few different things you can do. The one thing I want to show you is underneath group management. You can set up groups, and let's say you've got different clients and stuff like that. There's nothing here going on yet because I'm not using it. But you can say okay, I want these computers to block all Windows telemetry and these to block things. So you can assign different lists to different groups. First off, I'll show you how to add some more lists. Here's the list it comes with. And if we click on this, it'll show you here's all the stuff that list is blocking. So we got a nice long list of stuff here. It's blocking all these shitty things. But there's other lists I want to add to this. And I'm going to include the links to these so we can have even more security. All right, so I'm going to grab matthewroberts.io. So we add the address over here. I'm just going to call this Matthew Roberts. Doesn't matter what you put here for the comment. Matthew Roberts is cool. Thanks very much. Add that list. There we go. We've just added a bunch more domains. What else do we have here? This is Microsoft telemetry. You can block all of the Microsoft IPs and stuff like that. I've got 3 lists of Microsoft telemetry IPs. There's so many of them. However, people say that this will not break Windows Update, and I am here to tell you that it absolutely will break Windows Update here and there because it happens to me all the time. So I stopped using those. All right, so let's also add the black book malware list. All right, so there we go. It's the black book. All right, whatever. Black book malware list 3. There we go. We've added all 3. If you click on the dashboard again there, you can see we are now blocking close to 100,000 domains. should be the same across all my PiHoles now because I've got the same lists. So you can go online and find more lists if you want to. I'm pretty happy with this setup right here. It blocks the ads, it blocks a lot of the malicious nonsense, and then you can play around with this to your heart's content. Now there's one more thing that you should probably do, but I'm not gonna steal the thunder from, while I was making this video, like literally in the middle of making this video, I was gonna set up a recursive DNS and I found out that, Craft Computing has already done a video on it and it's really good. So around halfway through the video, you should go ahead and watch his video if you wanna do what's called a recursive DNS. And that means that you are running your own DNS server. Right now, you're doing DNS pass-through. So your PiHole, what it does is it says like, okay, it gets a DNS request and it basically just goes and asks Cloudflare or Google or whatever DNS server you're running. It says like, hey, where's this DNS? See, right now we're just using Cloudflare DNS right down here. You can change it to Google or whatever, but these companies are gonna have a list of all the domains you visit, even if you're running a VPN or whatever. The only way around that is to run an upstream DNS, host it yourself. It'll be like a 127 address when you put it here, and then put in, that's IPv6, and then put in the IP address right here. It'll take a little bit longer at first because your computer will be going directly to the server and requesting DNS information. You're going to be running your own legit DNS service, and you can turn this off and not have to worry about passing through the DNS information. But this video is really good. All this information is also available on PiHole's website. You'll need to install another thing on your Debian box. Let's say you want to run two PiHoles so you can, fill up both of those DNSs. Just right click here and click on clone. Now we'll need to give this a name, PiHole 4. Running out of resources at this right now, it's very, very, very small. Clone. It won't take long to clone it because it's only 4 gigabytes and it's just making a copy of it and then it'll spin it up. Give it a second, give it a second. Hey, when it gives me this error of failed to run VNC proxy, there's nothing there to run. There's no failure, there's just nothing there. Okay, it's finished, so we're gonna go ahead and push start on this one. Now, the thing about this is both of these Debian installations are going to have the same username, the same password, which is very easy for me. I'm not really worried about any of that, but I wanna change the name of the actual Debian installation, just the system, so. All right, we need to change that and the IP address. But first off, I'll change the name. So in order to change the server name, we're just gonna do hostname, CTL, hostname control, set-hostname, and then type whatever you want. I'm gonna call this PiHole 4. There we go, we changed the hostname to PiHole 4. Next thing I wanna do is change the IP address so it's not gonna be the same as the other one. Okay, we don't have anything memorized there, so just quickly nano into that and change the IP address. All right, IP address, I'm just gonna make this 1. Control X, yes, enter. Now we're done. And if once we reboot the network on this, we can just log into that one using our other IP address and we'll have 2 PiHoles that we can use for our system. But that's it. I've just made 2 PiHoles very quickly just by duplicating one of them. Be sure to go over here and follow these directions to give yourself recursive DNS so that you're completely protected. We're going to install, so in this video, we're going to install PiHole.